come to pass, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thine oil, and I will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Hey, God is saying here that when you were in Egypt, and you know, God created this world, and God's knowledge is so infinite, okay? He created Egypt in a special way. He created it in such a way where it doesn't rain there. Okay? And the Bible said, you know, and I don't know if it rains there today, because I know weather patterns change and everything, but back then it didn't rain there. And the Bible talks about it not raining there. And so they had to water it themselves. Okay? They had to sit there and irrigate and run pipes for water, or carry water somehow, and irrigate the land. God's saying the promised land is not like that. He's saying, I'm the one who waters it. And you're going to have to rely on me to water because I'm the one who decides whether it rains or not. Because you got to remember there were times in the history of Israel where God shut up the heaven and it did not rain. The longest time was for 3 years and 6 months in the days of, you know, when Elijah the Tishbite was facing off with King Ahab and so forth. 3.5 years of no rain. God is saying here, when you're living the Christian life, it's not a life where you have to just take everything in your own hands and do it yourself. He said, I can help you, I can do it for you, but you need to focus on serving me with your whole heart and your whole soul, and hearkening diligently to my commandments. If you do that, I'll provide it for you. Now, I'm not saying to just, you know, well, I'm not going to go to work today. I'm just going to serve God. You know? Now, look, part of God's commandments is to go to work. Part of God's commandments is to, you know, work hard. You know, and I go out and I work hard and do everything I can with my job. But you know what? I just have the faith to believe that if I maybe step back a little bit from my job, to where I'm just not just my job my whole life, you know, 24/7. It's all about my job. You know, if I step back and say, okay, you know, Saturdays, Sundays, whatever, I'm going to take time and just serve God with all my heart and soul. And throughout the week, I'm going to hearken diligently to his commandments. I'm going to meditate on the Word of God day and night. Hey, God is going to have to make up the difference in my life. Am I wealthy? Am I rich? No. I mean, I'll be honest with you, you know, even right now in my life, you know, I'm going through some things in my life right now that they're not perfect. Wow, isn't that a shock? You know, I have certain struggles that I'm going through right now. But you know what? Before I was dealing with some of the things I'm dealing with right now, it was something else. You know what I mean? Before that, it was something different. I mean, it's always, you know, there have been times when I felt pretty good financially, and there was just something else. Other times you're lean financially, and that's a lot of the time. And, you know, a lot of people are struggling financially right now because the economy is suffering and whatever. And there's uncertainty because of the election. You know, we might get some commie. We're either going to get a commie or a dictator, fascist, or I don't know, whatever. But people are uncertain, you know, who's it going to be? And so they're nervous about maybe expanding and about spending money and about these different. Everybody wants to hang on to their money tight. And so I'm here to tell you that you've got to just stop and say, you know what? I can't do it myself. And so I better just hearken diligently to God's commandments. I want to serve him with my life. I want to spend some... Because think about this for a minute. Let's say you work your whole life. And I hope you're getting the sermon tonight. I'm trying to get it across to you the best I can. But let's say you work your whole life in order to build financial security. And boy, you get your health just dialed in. I mean, you're eating and drinking everything perfectly healthy. You got your finances dialed in. You got your marriage is just like perfect relationship. You know, everything is just exactly right. You spend your whole life and work on that. But that consumes you, and you don't really have as much, you know, you don't really have the time. You don't ever get out soul winning, you know, because you're too busy getting everything set up here. You don't really do any real long sessions of Bible reading, you know, for hours on end, because, you know, you got all this other stuff to take care of. You know, you're going to get to the end of your life, and you know, you probably lived a really nice life, really comfortable, and probably people look at you and say, well, there's a person who's really got it together. There's a guy, there's a lady, man, they've got it together. I envy them. I mean, look at their wife, look at their 2.5 kids, look at the white picket fence, look at the minivan, look at the perfect health. He's at the gym. He's working out. I mean, he's everything. I mean, he's got the degrees. He's educated. You know, now that's person A, okay? Now let's take person B. His finances are totally messed up. His car sounds like a washing machine, okay? His health is poor. You know, he fights with his wife. You know, he's got problems. You know, stuff's broken around the house. This is a self-portrait. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But you know, he's just trying. I mean, it's not because he's a bad guy or a lazy guy. But you know, have you ever met those people that just don't seem to make it in life? They just never really made it. You know what I mean? It's like they just never really made it financially. They just never really succeeded in anything big. They don't have any big trophies on the wall. They don't have any great achievements. They've never really, you know, they just never really made it. It just seems like they just kind of struggled all the way. But imagine if that same guy said, you know what, I'm struggling. My marriage is not perfect. You know, my finances are just messed up royally. I mean, I'm struggling. I mean, I'm doing bad financially. You know, this is person B. I mean, this guy, his finances are messed up. His health is messed up. Okay. His house is dirty. You know, his lawn needs to be mowed. His stuff. But then imagine that same guy just said, you know what though? I'm going to do the best I can all week long. But I'm going to devote just some serious heavy time on the weekends towards soul winning. And you know, I'm going to take the time in my day to sit down and read the Bible. And to know God. Now that guy's probably not living as comfortable a life. He's probably got a lot of stress. He's probably going through a lot of pain. Okay? But who do you want to be at the end of the day? At the end of life? The guy over here who was a failure in everyone's eyes, right? A failure financially. A failure in every area you could look at him. Maybe he's not good looking. You know? He doesn't have anything going for him. He's a failure. But hey, what if he won 500 people to the Lord in his lifetime? This guy over here, he had it all together. He won one to the Lord maybe once in a blue moon. You know? A couple people saved in his whole lifetime. So what does it mean to be a failure or a success? Think about it. Think about that for a minute. What is success? Is success having your finances in a row? Is success having the perfect family? Is success being the picture of health? And you could be on the front of a magazine for fitness. Is that what success is? Is success wearing nice clothes? Is success having a perfect schedule and a routine that you never deviate from, and your budget is perfect and your schedule? Is that what success is? Or is success serving God and accomplishing something for the kingdom of God? Now maybe I'm not as eloquent right now as I'd like to be, or I'm not expressing this accurately, but I'm going to tell you something. There are people who fail in this life, but when they get to heaven, they're a big success. I mean, think about it. You walked, oh man, when I die, I didn't have a penny to my name. I mean, good night. My kids owed $20, you know, and it was a mess, and you know, oh, what was your 401k like? You know, it didn't exist. Oh, but what were your achievements at your job? You know, I flopped on the job. Okay. But you know what? Success is what you did for God. And so, you got to understand, I'd rather fail in life and win souls. I'd rather fail in life and love God. I'd rather fail in life and know the Bible. I'm just telling you the truth here. I mean, what if Faithful Word Baptist Church failed? Right? I mean, the church failed. Pastor Steven Anderson failed. It was all a big flop. It was all a big failure. You know what? Let's say this church just fails. It just falls apart. It just dies. And it's all over, and it was all a big waste. And boy, Pastor Steve Anderson's a big failure. But you know what? There are going to be hundreds and hundreds of people in heaven, no matter what happens to this church, no matter what happens to me, no matter what happens to you, no matter what happens to my bank account, no matter what happens in my health, no matter what happens in my job. Hey, there's going to be hundreds of people who are saved. And nobody can ever change that. And nothing can ever change that. And no man taking my joy from me. I'd rather fail as pastor of Faithful Word Baptist Church. I'd rather flop and fail and be the biggest failure and be a laughing stock of the world and have everybody say, oh, what an idiot, what a fool, and all those